Hello my friends, welcome back to another tutorial. I hope you're all keeping very well and very safe out there. This time I'm going to paint by popular demand, and the vote is in the lovely flowers with the butterfly on it. Beautiful orange butterfly, lovely pinks, purples, mauves, that kind of thing. I think it's going to turn out absolutely wonderful. I have a big canvas here which I primed once, sanded lightly. Now I had to cut this canvas down very slightly, so it was this size here. So I simply peeled off, I just picked off the staples on the back of the canvas. I went around just slightly. I cut the braces, the stretcher bars. I came in about 2 inches, cut those 45 degrees, put the new one back on, stretched the canvas around, stapled it back down along the back, just to make it nice and tall and narrow. Okay, so I'm going to paint that. I'm really excited. I've added an extra flower as well, just for help to composition. So this is going to be really nice. It may be 2 parts, but we're going to have a lot of fun doing this. And then for YouTube in a few days, I'm going to paint that wonderful sunset with the reflections of the trees. Do you know that one? So I'm going to paint that for my YouTube as well. So yes, 2 lovely paintings. So if you're ready, follow me along and get your stuff. We'll have a bit of fun with this. This will be nice. It's simple, but very dramatic as well. So here we go. Thank you, my friends. Let's have a bit of fun. Okay, here we go. I'll tell you what colors I have on my palette. Titanium white, magenta, phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, some Naples yellow, some lamp black, and some burnt umber. Okay, they're my colors. I hope you can hear me okay now with this microphone set up and everything. Here's my canvas. I just sketched out 3 flowers. Okay, you should see the reference photograph there. Now I have it here next to me as well. So it's really beautiful, isn't it? I can't wait to get stuck into this. I just love these colors. These lovely warm purples and blues. They're beautiful colors. So let's go and have a bit of fun with this. Now, brushes. I'm going to take a nice large flat brush, and it may look complicated, but really the background, once you have the background in, really it's fairly simple from then on. We can take our time with the flowers and the butterfly then, okay? Perhaps in part 2. So let's just fill in a nice background, fill all of this in, nice soft mauves and purples, okay? Let's take some turpentine. I have some turpentine here with some linseed oil. Let me show you. You see that? Just a little linseed oil in it, just all. Just a kind of maybe 80% turpentine, 20% linseed oil, something like that, okay? Just a little bit. It just helps the paint move around and it's nice and oily. So let's start with the nice background on top here. So purple, pinky kind of a colour. Let's take some white. And let's take some, now I'm going to go with a lot of magenta in this painting because I can see lots and lots of beautiful magenta in this painting. It's really gorgeous. Some phthalo blue. Now, I'm going to mix that nice thin, not very thin, but a nice creamy, thin creamy kind of a texture, okay? That lovely. Take some more magenta. And a little more blue. We'll mix a nice bit of this now because we have a big background here. So I think that's a nice colour on which to start. Bearing in mind, our petals are going to be a nice kind of a whitey blue, pinky kind of a colour. So we want a nice dark-ish kind of a background on this, okay? Not too light. I can see on the photograph it's nice and bright over here, but for the main I want to keep it kind of slightly dark. Now you can put on, and what I would do is put on a kind of a slightly thinner coat for this initial stage of the painting, and then start adding thicker colours into that, okay? That's kind of generally how I would work with backgrounds like this, a big background. So I'm going to just put that in like that, spreading it all over the place. Look at that, lovely colours. Okay, let's keep going. Now, when I get to the flowers, I'm just going to kind of go around the petals a little bit, okay? It doesn't matter if you block out the petals completely, but I want to keep the position of the petals. And if I paint over these completely, it's going to be very difficult then to get a nice bright petal. So I want to leave some of the petal there, just to help, okay? I think my cat is outside the window meowing to come in. He'll have to stay there. Right. I have 2 cats, by the way, and a dog. I love pets, I love animals. Keeps me busy. They're lovely creatures, I think, cats. I don't know if you have cats or not, but I love cats. They're wonderful creatures. Now, while this is still wet, I'm going to go in this direction, okay? Because you can see on the photograph, there's a beautiful direction of the background going up like this. So I'm just going to very lightly drag my brush across in that direction, just to keep the direction I want, okay? There we go. So let's continue on. More turpentine, more white, more blue. Now you can go maybe crimson. We could try some crimson as well, just to mix it up a little bit. And darken it slightly up there. See what I'm doing? I'm just very lightly, very loosely rather, just popping that colour in up there, just to darken it down a little. You know, already we can see that lovely kind of design going through that. That's lovely, I love that. And let's just get some more white again. A little turpentine. I always add just a little turpentine just to help move the paint. It's much, much easier. Some magenta, some blue, a little crimson perhaps. We go a bit more pinky, get some white. Start going more on the warm side. Pop that in over there. Again, I keep dipping into my turpentine ever so lightly, okay? Just slightly. Now, as it comes over, I want to kind of lighten it a bit. So I'm going with magenta, some white, and a little Naples yellow, okay? And that will really warm that colour. Really warm it up nicely. And again, I go around my petals, very lightly. And you know something? It doesn't have to look exactly the same, the background. The colours don't have to be exactly the same. You can add your own colours in. Okay, and that's the beauty about painting. You know, I never try and copy something 100%. I just try and capture the feeling of a painting. That's all it is. So nice and light. Now I'm going to take plenty of white in this. It's almost like a light blue, but I'm going to keep it a nice light pink, just for a bit of contrast. Nice and light down here. And I'm bearing in mind now I have kind of bright petals, so I don't want it to be very, very bright, okay? Not too bright. Try that up there at a nice angle. I like the direction of the angle on the background. It really complements the flowers, okay? Because you have the flowers kind of coming up at this angle, so the background going at the same direction is really nice. It's very eye-catching. Something like this is great, great fun to do. There we go, right down there. Around the petals, just lightly. And I'm then going to start darkening it again as it comes down. Now this is kind of just the initial background. I'll be adding little darks and stuff into this as we go, all right? So let's take some phthalo blue, some crimson actually, some magenta. And I'm going to start darkening this a bit as it comes down. It's really dark down here, isn't it? It's a very dark purple. So I think 3 of those colours will do nicely, quite nicely. And let's go down here and have a look at that. Okay. Now, I could possibly even add some cadmium red into this as well, if I wanted. And I might get some cadmium red on my palette just for that bit of variety and those different pinks. Okay. Let's take a little touch of cadmium red, and it's really nice just to mix up different reds and pinks like that, because you get lots of different effects. So for example, now let's take some cadmium red, some magenta, and a little blue, and that will give us a nice warm tone. Okay, just for down here. But what I want to do is, in this painting, right, if you look at that butterfly, that beautiful orange on the butterfly, I want to take hints, tiny hints of that orange, and just pop it in the background here and there. That will really help the composition. So let's go with some magenta, a little cadmium red, and we have that beautiful little touch of kind of a nice warm colour coming in down here. And I could even add a little of that then over here as well, you see. And that helps with the composition because you're putting colours around the canvas. One thing that kind of would conflict the painting is if you have certain colours on one side and certain colours on the other side and they're completely different. That's really not good for a composition. So you should try, if it's a sunset or anything like that, kind of add colours across your canvas, the same colours, and that will just help tie everything together. Okay, now phthalo blue, crimson, and I'll go for a tiny amount of black. Okay, so it's very dark, purpley, pinky kind of a colour. And let's go down here and pop that in. You see then I'm dragging it across, you see, merging it into this one over here. And my paint now, my paint is not very, very wet. You can see I'm kind of dragging it across the grain of the canvas here and there. So it's not very, very wet. And the trick is you have a thin colour on the back and then you put on a slightly thicker mix. And that allows the paint to stick and keep the colour. What I notice a lot of people doing, a lot of mistakes that people will make, is they put on a thin background and then they put on more thin paint on top of that. It just becomes very wet and messy and slippery. So thicker, slightly thicker colours on top, okay? Let's just do that now around some of these flowers here while keeping the direction the same, you see? Now I could take a hint of magenta and a hint of cadmium red, and I could just pop a little touch of that in there as well, here and there. And the feeling I'm going for is that real dark down the bottom, okay, and nice and bright on top. That's the kind of the general feeling I want to get from the painting when you look at the painting. So something like that will be very eye-catching. All right, just remember that. Now some more blue and some black. So we're going really dark. Now blue with black gives you a kind of a greeny blacky colour because of phthalo blue. So take some magenta, pop some magenta into that. That'll give you this dark pinky purple colour. Okay. I want to stay away from any greeny blues in this. So if you get a greeny blue, take a hint of crimson and just pop it over it, look like that, okay? And then let the brush sort of dance around. So imagining that in the background you have all these little things happening, okay? See, lots of little things happening in the background. Crimson, phthalo blue. You just go with that and pop some in there. Be very free. And see, look, you could even give it a little flick here and there. Again, just to create some movement in the painting. Now, I'll dampen my brush, clean it, and I'm going to start working up this side and around the middle. So, let's get some magenta. And you probably think I'm working very fast with this, but it's better to work fast on a background like this. Because if you take your time and you do it bit by bit, slowly, bit by bit with a small brush, you become lost. And you lose that sense of freedom and that kind of loose feeling with the background. It's always best to try and work quickly with something like this. Just get it in, forget about it and move on. And sometimes they're the nicest backgrounds when you're painting, okay? So, a bit of pinky colour up here. Now if I'm blabbering on too much, I apologise, but I just love to explain as much as I can as I'm going. There's far too many artists on YouTube who don't explain anything whatsoever. They just put some music on, start painting, and it's just no help really. It's nice to see what they're doing, but I think engaging with the viewer and talking and explaining what you're doing makes the world of difference. I really do. Now, bit of crimson. Let's pop some nice light colour in there. Work that up. And let's work all of this down here and together. I mean, already we have a nice background, don't we? But it's not finished yet, not by a long way. We've still a good bit to do on this. Now, I go around the middle. Let's get some magenta, some white, pop that in there. The magenta is really lovely as opposed to crimson. Crimson is very kind of pinky. Magenta is more of a soft violet pink. It's a really lovely colour for this kind of a background. Look, just merging everything together. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. Just have some fun. Put some colour on and have a bit of fun, okay? Now, I think I've gone far enough with this. I'm going to get a soft brush and I'm going to soften a lot of this together, okay? So let me just start, I'll start here, look. Soften it all together just to get rid of a lot of those lines, just to soften them right back in. That's all I want to do, okay? I'm not too fussy about the bottom because we have a lot of movement down there anyway, so that's fine. So especially up around here, look. Go in the opposite direction. You're not losing the brush strokes then, see, I'm still keeping the direction, but I'm softening the brush strokes away. So I go like that, then I go in that direction, look. We still have our direction, we still have the point of reference going up. Now, we put that down. I'm then going to start working on some very brights. So along up here and coming down, you see that? Very, very bright colours. We also have darks going through that, but I'll start with the bright colours, okay? Let's get some phthalo blue and lots of white, okay? Let's try that, come on. Let's have a bit of fun. Let's go crazy. Now, phthalo blue and white. Let's go up here, pop some of that in there, look. And I've mixed a slightly thicker mix on this because that will really help cover the canvas much, much better. And the more blue, you can see there's lots of blue on the reference photograph as well, especially in the light areas, lots and lots of blue. So I'm going to pop some in here, like that. I'll take a bit more of that, a little bit more of that, more blue and white. I'm going to go up here and hold my canvas here now so it doesn't fall off. We don't want any accidents today. There we go. Lovely, lovely colours. And it's completely up to yourself the way you want to do this. You could go at an angle, you could swirl it like this, or you could go this way. It's completely up to yourself. Now I'm just going to stand back for one moment and take a good look at that. Okay, yes, we're getting there. Now that didn't take too long, did it? Didn't take too long at all. I'm going to take some white and a little crimson. And I'm going to put a very bright whitey pink in here and there as well. So around here, okay, I'm going to pop a nice bright whitey pink. Lots of thick paint so on this mix, you see, and it's covering much better. Lots of thick. Nice brightly pink. Soften it in. And this is just so much fun to be able to do something nice and free like this for a change. It's like a breath of fresh air. Instead of focusing on sunsets and trees and all that kind of thing, it really is like a breath of fresh air. It's just lovely to just let go and just have some fun. Do you know what I mean? Pop another bit of that in over there. Soften it in. Okay, so we have slightly lighter patches here and there. Now I want to go very bright up there. I'm just going to take some white and I'm going to pop some white in just up here, okay? Now you may have to do this a few times because it'll immediately mix into the colour on the canvas. So you may have to do this once or twice. Ah, there we go now. It's not bad now, is it? Okay, and I'm then going to take some phthalo blue. Now quite a bit, a nice bit of phthalo blue. If you look at the photograph, you see nice hints of blue, very rich kind of bright blues going through there and here and there. Let's take some blue and some white. And I'm going to pop some of that nice rich kind of blue just here and there. Look, flicking it through, allowing it to disappear, as if there's something in the background catching it, okay? Catching some of that blue. Or it could be some of the stalks coming up. Let's take a bit of magenta in that, okay? And come down here and add a bit of that. Beautiful colour. We take some more of that. Now I'm using just paint on its own, okay? Just paint. Magenta, some blue. Gives us that beautiful, rich, purpley blue. You see that? And that's really eye-catching, I think. Really eye-catching. Take some more of that pink. Pop some of that in here and there. Now, I'm going to start putting in some of the darker areas. First, I just want to get a little bit of touch of this blue up in this corner up here. I know you think I'm going over all that white now again, but I could just see a hint of blue up in that corner. It was really nice, really lovely. And I will soften all of this then with the soft brush again, so not to worry, okay? Now, let's clean that again. Clean. And we're going to start going into some darker colours. By the way, I'm just going to check the camera to make sure that looks okay. Yes, I'm happy enough with that. Let's go some phthalo blue, magenta, and I'd say a little black. Now the black is very strong, so you want a lot of magenta in this. So it's a very pinky kind of a black I have, all right? Very rich pinky black. And I can see a little bit of that around here as well. A little touch of that popping through here and there. Okay. It's almost like little stalks way off in the distance showing through the painting. And I'll take more magenta in that and a hint of cadmium red, because I have a slightly warmer, dark kind of a pink popping into it over here as well. So I'll do that again. Some magenta, some crimson, a little bit cadmium red. So we have a very rich red colour, then a hint of black. Okay, let's go over here with that. So you can see now I'm just kind of building up my background bit by bit. Okay, building it up bit by bit, nice and slowly. A little bit blue, a little bit of magenta again, and let's pop a few of these kind of stalks popping into it here. Now I have a very dark colour down on the bottom right. I'm going to go with phthalo blue and magenta down here, okay? Don't worry, I will soften all of this right back in, so it's not going to be left like that. Phthalo blue, magenta and crimson. Give it a little mix and come right down here. Pop a nice dark in. See, because we're having trouble now mixing the darker colour into the one underneath, so that's why I'm going to have to start putting some real blacky colours in order to get them to cover. Does that make sense? So the next thing I'm going to do is take some black, phthalo blue, now lots of each, okay, and let's get some crimson. It looks black now, but it's a very blacky blue, okay? And clean your brush afterwards. Keep that brush nice and clean. And let's go over here, pop some of that in. So you can see we're building up the layers. We're building it up. We're getting slightly stronger each time we put fresh paint on. Okay, slightly stronger. Let's get some red. Now I'm going to pop some red. The cadmium red, right with my brush, right through that, look. So we're getting hints of cadmium red then as well. And down at the very bottom, I'm going to take some black on its own. I'm going to pop some black in, just down kind of towards the corner. So it's disappearing upwards, that black. So now, we have some of the basics in. My next job now is to really soften all of this in, okay? Nice clean soft brush. And push that right back into the background, okay? Go right over it, don't be shy. Keep softening and softening until you have what you want. You can even go at a slight angle against it. That will also soften it in. You see that? So a nice angle, and then return. I'm pushing that right back into the background. I go up here and do the same with this blue. Now if I'm being too complicated with this, you can just simplify it. You could put a simple light colour in the background, or a simple dark blue would be lovely as well. You don't have to go to all this trouble at all. But I'm just very fussy when it comes to things like this, and I like to get it right, you know. So now, see, I'm picking up the colours, look, softening them in here and there. I don't want to make a mess of all of this. I'm going to be very careful with that black. I don't want to pick the black up too much and move it. I want to really take my time. Now, I don't think that's that bad, is it? I don't think it's too bad at all. The next thing, what I might do is I really want to capture some light in this. So I might just put some real bright colour just around here. Real bright, okay? I'm going to just clean my brush very quickly because it's full of dark colours. There we go. And I'll change my tissue because it's very bad. Now, so, nice and clean. Clean-ish. It's not going to be perfect. And I'll go for a very bright pink, I think. I'll get some white and some crimson. And I'm going to pop some of that in. And you see, it's just going to keep mixing into the background, so you have to put plenty on. Don't be shy. You could even use a palette knife as well for this if you wanted to put on lots and lots of thick paint. You could by all means use a palette knife. Let's get some white again and a little crimson again. Okay, there we go. And pop some nice bright crimson and white in around there. Look, just let it soften out. Small brush strokes, you see. Just leave it soften out. I find the trick with doing this is not to mix it too much. Just put it on and kind of leave it. Do you understand what I mean? Look, another bit there, I'll put a bit there. Let's take more crimson in that, maybe even a hint of cadmium red. Let's get some nice warm colours in that background over there. Now I like that colour, that's a nice colour, isn't it? It gives you that bit of a glow, doesn't it? Let's try that again. Let's get some cadmium red, some white. Pop a little of that in. Let's put a bit down here, look. Create these little areas of warm colour. Okay, that will do. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to put in suggestions of little stalks and little buds and stuff like that down at the bottom. So I'm going to need another brush. I'll go with a nice kind of a soft brush, and there's some light petals showing down at the bottom. This is very similar to the one I did on my YouTube channel with the flower just in the middle. It's very similar. So I'll just take a little turpentine, okay? I'm going to take some white, a little of the bluey colour, that nice mauvey colour, bit of crimson. I don't want it very bright because it's in the shadows. So it's going to be a very dull kind of a colour. Let's go for a dull kind of a pinky mauvey colour. A little bit of blue. Remember, it's in the shadows. Just think of that. So think of a nice shadowy colour. Now let's try that, okay? So down here, I'm going to put a little flick, a little hint of some petals. Kind of doing their own thing down there, down in the shadows, okay? So you can see I'm kind of allowing some of the white off the brush to kind of hit the petals here and there. And I'll come down here and give a little, it's simply just little dabs with the brush, because remember, I'm going to soften this in with my soft brush as well. So it's going to be only slightly prominent, okay? You're not going to see it that much. And we could take maybe something with a hint of blue and white, pop some of those in. A bit more, get for a nice dark, rich blue. And we could suggest kind of even little leaves and that kind of thing in the shadow, okay? It's really to create some movement. This won't be noticeable when it's all softened in and everything else, okay? It's not going to be noticeable. Now, while I have that dark colour, okay, phthalo blue and magenta, I'm going to come in here and pop suggestion of a few little kind of grasses and stalks, that kind of thing. I'll take a little hint of red in that, and I simply want to just suggest a few in the background, okay? Now, it's not very dark. I'm not going to go too dark too soon. Now I'll take some black and some crimson, okay? And I'm going to pop a little black and crimson in here and there as well. Go with some blue and magenta again. You can see nice dark purpley colours. Okay, that's the order of the day. Just for here, nice dark purpley colours. So the next part, and I'm hoping this is going to look good now in the end. I really am. I'm going to just soften all of these into the background, okay? Go in that direction, pull them up and pull them down. Same here, pull it up like that. And then when it gets to the petals, I'm going to very lightly kind of soften them back in. I'm going around in little circles, just on top of the petals. I just want to kind of create a nice fuzzy kind of a background. That's all. Just to tell you there's stuff going on in the background that we can't really see. Okay, how's that? Now, time to get a small brush. Let's go for a nice little round brush. And it's time to get some nice stalks and some real dark lines in on this. Let me just clean my brush now, make sure it's nice and soft. I'm going to get some black, okay? Lots of thinners, lots of black, and lots of crimson. In fact, we'll take some phthalo blue as well. So a nice dark, rich, purpley kind of a colour, okay? Lots of thinners. It's not very watery, but it's very thin, okay? And let's simply put some stalks in. We have a couple popping out like that. There's a few there which you can kind of almost really see they're very, very strong. So for example, let's put one like that, one there. And look, you can see how free I'm being, nice and free, nice and loose. Don't be shy. Another stalk coming up like that. Take some more blue and pop a few in over here. You can see we've some kind of dark areas down there where you can't really make out what they are, but we know that they're little parts of plants and shadows and stalks and all that kind of thing. We know that. So you can just pop some little dabs of black in very loosely, you see, just here and there. And we can soften all of these through as well. Now we have a nice dark stalk coming down off of that, don't we? I'm going to take some black for that and some blue. And I'm going to really define that one, okay? Now, okay, it might not be in the exact same position, but it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't. And if you want to get a nice straight line like that, all you need to do really is lean down really hard on your brush. Just lean down hard with the full brush on the canvas, and that will give you a nice straight line. Let's put another, you can see there's almost like two together here, or there's something. I can't quite make out what it is, but it's like there's two coming together here. Let's put a suggestion of a little leaf coming out. And we could put another one here, like that. It's all about just having a bit of fun, really, isn't it? We go some magenta. I do have another flower here, so I'm going to pop another one in there. Okay, like that. Then I'll take some black, nice black, pop some nice black in, just here and there, just to darken that right down. And perhaps a bit on this side. Okay, so how is that looking so far? Yeah, it's not bad, is it? I think the real action is going to happen when we start painting the flowers. I think that's when it's really going to jump into life. I hope so, I really do, because I just really want to create a nice impact with this painting, a really rich impact. Now we have a lovely bud up on top there, which I really like. I'm going to take some blue, some white, and I'm going to take a little crimson, and I just want to pop that in. It's really lovely. So it's kind of, just paint a little bud first, okay? You can see there's almost like a suggestion of leaves or something on it. You take some more magenta in that mix, and then it comes up and it turns, doesn't it? And it comes through that flower there, doesn't it? And then it comes down. I'll get more crimson, a little more. So follow that through the flower, and down, here we go, all the way down. And even add some white into the mix as it comes down, okay? And you can see it just almost kind of disappears down into the depths of the painting. Now I'm going to take some light blue for the highlight on that, some blue and some white. And I want to pop some nice highlight. On that. And I'm going to take some white and some crimson. And I'm going to pop some nice light pink on this one here. Just to give a little suggestion of a highlight. I'm going to take some white and I'm going to really pop some highlight up on top of that. And you can see there's some real bright highlights as well, hitting some of those. up there. Now we have some nice dark areas up there too. So let's get some magenta. See, I'm just working through now bit by bit. You know, you can really take your time at home if you like. A bit of dark there. I'll take some black, pop a little black in underneath that. So the light is coming from overhead somewhere, so it's casting a nice rich dark shadow under these. Okay. Okay, just like that. You can see it's just a suggestion, that's all. It's just little dabs of colour. That's really all it is. And I'm going to put a suggestion of perhaps some kind of leaves coming out of that kind of in the background. All right, they're sort of almost disappearing into the background, some of them. Like so. Okay. We have a nice bright up here. Catching that. And with all of this now I'm using just paint, okay? Nothing else. Just paint on its own. Get some more black. I'm going to just darken right down underneath that there, okay? And here. Give them a little shadow. You see, all these small little things, they do make a difference in the end. At least I hope they do. Now, just to kind of sit all of this down, I'm going to just take some blue and some magenta, and I'm going to just kind of pop some of those down here. And I might even take some of that lighter blue, pop a little of that in as well, just to break up the ends down here, okay? Just look, little petals and things like that in front, just to help kind of knock them back a little bit. Okay, now, soft brush. I'm going to try and soften some of these back in the background. You don't have to do this, of course, but I just want to get that nice soft feeling, and I want them to disappear as they come down then, okay? Some of them. I just want to kind of pull them down and let them soften down. And that's the beauty with oils. You can leave them, kind of bring them down and leave them soften in down below. Now, we have a lovely soft background there, I think, don't we? And I think that's a nice basis on which to start. I think before I finish, and this could probably be just part one finished, I think, I'm just going to take some black first, and I'm just going to define properly some of these, okay, just to really pick them out. Okay, I have this one here, I'm going to leave that. I'm just going to possibly bring a few little grasses up here and there, okay? Not too much. And I must give this one a little light as well. I'm going to take a little light, perhaps a light pink, and just give this one a little touch of highlight. That's quite nice, isn't it? And to complement the painting now, I might add a little of that colour to one of the other ones as well. Pink there and a little there, okay? Just like that. And then, lastly, some of the light bluey colour, or even just white, whatever, just along the stalks, just a little, I think, just to really capture the light from above. So my friends, I think that's part one finished. I'm pretty happy with that. Actually, I'll put in, you see all that little, there's like little petals under that flower there. I think that's what they are, little petals. I'm going to pop those in. I'll take some of that bluey blacky colour and I'm going to go under. Now I've painted over some of my petals, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to suggest some little things under that flower, okay? Now you can kind of see what I mean. It's just suggesting that there's something else there, something else going on. Then I'll just take a little bright blue and just add a little hint of highlight here and there to some of them. So, I mean, there's no real definition in these, it's just a little highlight, okay? Just to show that the light is catching them here and there. It could be anything. Leaves, bits of petals hidden behind the flower, anything like that. And so there we are, my friends. I think I call that part one finished. That's my main background finished now. The only thing left is the wonderful flowers. I might decide to bring this flower up a bit. I think it might be a bit low because we'll have a flower here, then the butterfly. I don't know, is it a little bit too left for me? So look, I think what I might do actually is just cover it completely, okay? And then I can pick a nice spot in which to put my new flower and butterfly. So let this be a lesson now. If you want to change something in a painting, simply paint over it like this. Yeah, soften it away. We still could put a small one there if you like. And we could make our new petal, or our new flower rather. We could even go, I know it's nice here to one side, let's bring it over a little bit, look. We don't have to go too much. I think just a little. Leave it disappear down. And perhaps a little light pinky colour just to add a hint of highlight to some of them. I think that's fine. I'll go with that. Yeah, let's go with that. Last thing I need to do is just soften some of these. Soften some of the brush strokes away. And we're done, friends. Part one is finished. I really like the way this is turning out so far. Join me in part two very, very soon. We'll do the flowers and that wonderful little butterfly. And we'll try and simplify it. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Thank you again so much for your support and all your help. It really means a huge deal to me. I really sincerely appreciate it, okay? Go on, see what you think of that. Try it, get your stuff, have a go, and let me know what you think. And if you have any suggestions, please do tell me. Don't be shy. I'll see you very, very soon.